Hello everybody, Buddy Webb, Midland, Texas. Got another video I want to make here, and based off a question I got from most recent video I made was here called Texas Governor Abbott, Greg Abbott, was in Midland yesterday, and I made a video about that because the day before that I sent that Crime Stoppers tip into all the news stations and the senator and the Kreiner and to the Rangers, and had all this evidence. And you know, you got to be a criminal to overlook that. You know, I mean, it's pretty blatant. Hey, I'm trying to cover up the murder of a little kid if you overlook that evidence and you don't do anything about it. So maybe, you know, Governor Abbott was going to come down and make sure that they're going to expose these underground facilities and these old show parties and arrest these people that are involved in, you know, in the murder of that little girl at that old show party. And so I don't know, but he was in town yesterday, and that's what this video was about. Anyway, this guy says, what is an oil show? Okay, that's a great question. What is an oil show? You know, and so I did a long answer here, then I copied it and I put it over on my Facebook. I do that often. And then, you know, I just put a title, YouTube comment of the day. What is an oil show? Because some people don't know, you know, they might not be from this area or whatever. And so I did a long write up here. And as I usually do on Facebook, I broke it down into in paragraphs, and then I put in proof pictures, you know, so I can explain what I'm saying, and, you know, it makes it real easy to follow, and that's what we're going to do the video about. So this is my reply. What is an oil show? The Permian Basin International Oil Show is a convention for people who work in the oil industry. It brings in tens of thousands of people from all over the world. That's in the Midland, Odessa, Texas, and the wild after-hour parties that go on during this week are infamous. I've heard about them all of my life, as most people who live in this area have. I didn't know where they were at, but it's easy to see now. They were being held in the $1 million underground homes that many people are documented as saying are here by my home. As you can imagine, some very wealthy and powerful people would be involved, you know, in these oil shows. And so here, this comes from the internet about the PBIOS, the Permian Basin International Oil Show, and they've got an older picture a long time ago. This oil show's been going on since before I was born, probably, and it tells, you know, how it brings in all these people, and they're showing off technology and networking, and it's what's done in other industries, the electronics industry, and you know, and you know, just all kinds of industries. And normally Las Vegas is the convention center of the world, right? And, you know, and that's where they have the conventions, and this is a convention, but here they actually have the convention right here in the Permian Basin, which is one of the largest oil fields in the United States. Okay. And so that answered that question. That's what an oil show is, and these parties are infamous, okay? And so I went on to say, I said, I often document any comments that I see about the oil show, and I have several screenshots talking about it. Lone Star 92, a local radio station, posted on Facebook that the oil show was canceled last year due to COVID, and they said, which means no oil show parties. Isn't that why everybody comes to town? Okay, and that's what I was saying. That just reinforces what I'm telling you. It's famous. Everybody here knows about the oil show and the oil show parties. You know, this is a radio station. You know, that means no oil show parties. Isn't that why everybody comes to town? Ha ha ha. You know, and so you know, that's one screenshot I just got last year. Victoria McKinney, and that's the late Victoria. Sadly, she died. You know, she was my friend and a very nice lady from my hometown. And she wrote on my Facebook, I know a woman that was brutally raped at the show years ago. That was enough for me to stay away, you know. And then you know, of course, I have a screenshot of that. I know somebody was brutally raped, you know, at the oil show years ago. So you can see how the oil show has a reputation for sure, okay. Oil show parties. There's a difference. The oil show happens in the daytime. The after-hour parties are separate, you know. So the people putting on the oil show are, you know, as far as the official convention, that's down at the convention center, you know. The after-hour parties are put on by wealthy oil men, and unknown location, believed to be in the underground homes here. Okay. Jessica Lee Hadley wrote, I've been to 2,000 oil field shows, and I'll tell you what, there's more than just that one that was murdered or raped because she didn't do whatever they wanted her to do. Well, it convinced me, you know, and now we're talking about multiple murders, you know. Here's Jessica Lee Hadley, you know, and that way it's not Buddy said, she said, right? You read it yourself. I've been to 2,000 oil shows, and I'll tell you what, there's more than one girl that's been raped or murdered if she didn't do whatever. You know, and the thing here, you know, Angie that was there, you know, when that young girl was murdered, told me about the young girl. She was afraid to report the murder and told me high-level police were at the party, you know. I mean, who do you go to if your police is corrupt, you know? It's like if you have all this evidence I'm having and I'm going to Sheriff Kreiner and the Rangers, you know, if they don't do anything about it, you know, how do you think they're going to help you or your child when they're sitting there, you know, being told you're going to prostitute or die, you know? Tisha Ann Wilkinson Brumley wrote, I've had friends and been involved in these oil show parties. They're exactly what you say. They're underground homes. And my sister used to do the oil show parties, and I got close to them before she shut that down. Okay. And once again, I got a screenshot, and that way nobody, you know, here says Buddy said, you know, not Buddy said, you know, when I say Tisha said it, I got a screenshot saying it, you know, and, you know, my sister used to do the oil show parties. It's exactly like you said. It's underground homes, okay? Okay, this one, I don't even know this guy. I saw it on an old Midland Facebook group. He posted there, he says, when I first moved to Midland working for a multi-billion-dollar oil company, I remember hearing talk of these huge secret parties. And this wasn't posted to me. That was into the old Midland group. I remember hearing talk of huge secret parties. And I think a key thing on what he said was multi-billion-dollar companies. Okay, so you can imagine multi-billion-dollar companies, you know, don't want people to know that there was a little girl murdered at a party they were hosting, you know, and so maybe there's been some bribes that's, you know, some money changed hands, and, you know, and some law enforcement told, no, you know, you need to look the other way and let us murder that little girl, you know, or whatever, you know, you need to call Buddy's crazy. I don't care how much evidence he has, because we're trying to cover a murder of a little girl up or whatever, you know, and that it's just not acceptable. It could be your daughter, you know, and I said that. Even when I sent that to the press, right, yesterday, the Crime Stoppers tip, to all the News West 9, CBS 7, KMID, the Midland Reporter Telegram, the Odessa American. I didn't get any reply back. You know, and what I said on Facebook, I said, it's not personal. You know, if it was your daughter that was raped and murdered, they would try to cover it up just as well. You know, and I'm suspecting there's money changing hands or something, you know, because look at all this evidence. Let's keep going. And last year when I was telling my story to Sheriff candidate Joe Lozano, he told me these underground homes was the hideout for the late Sheriff Gary Painter. I was secretly recording that phone call, and it's now a viral video. And let's keep this in mind. This guy, he didn't win the election, so he's not the sheriff. Kreiner's the sheriff, but he could have been, you know. And you know, and he's a local businessman here, and he's one of many people just confirming, and then saying that Painter, our late sheriff that died the year before last, you know, I'd sent him 27 fact-filled emails. I never got a reply back, you know, and then I'm going, nah, that explains it. Here, let's look.
Your son, I thought, well, you know, I wanted to reach out to you. I don't know if did your son pass on that information?
That's all I found out about you.
Okay. I secretly recorded a woman on the phone who told me there were 4 3-bedroom underground homes that are 25 foot deep, and each of them cost over $1 million. She told me they were having pedophile parties in these underground homes. This is posted to my YouTube channel, that phone call. Another woman told me that she worked on the underground project, which was finished in 1987 while Bush was vice president. The Bushes are from Midland and were in the oil field business. She said the total project cost was $7.35 million. I have a screenshot of her telling me this. A guy named Ricky Ronaldo tells me that he used to live in my home, and him and his brother used to go in the tunnels under it. I have a screenshot of him saying this. A woman named Rhonda Denman Rogers tells me that the underground facility is a half block away, and I also have a screenshot of this statement. She didn't say it was 1.5 blocks, so she knew exactly where it was at.
Hey, buddy.
Yeah?
Buddy, you know, that was Painter's hideout thing. Okay? And the hell...
Painter's hideout right there. Can you imagine? Like I said, this was during the election while he was running for sheriff of Midland County. And once again, this is something that our press hid from the public. The public here, the general public, they have no idea what the press is hiding from them here. Big, huge stories that impact elections, you know. And so here's my next one. And I have another recorded phone call where a woman tells me there are 4 3-bedroom $1 million underground homes buried at least 25 foot deep. And she said they've been having pedophile parties down there. That's also a viral video. And once again, I want to make a point. It ain't Buddy said, she said, right? Buddy secretly recorded it.
I asked them about the pizza parties. They said they're not called pizza parties, but I know what you're talking about.
Right, the pedophile parties.
Yes.
And then and see, a couple weeks, you probably read all this before, but a couple weeks after I got out of the hospital, that ex-wife comes by my home, and she says, "You don't know how many lives you ruined with your idiocy." And of course, my idiocy was staying home and minding my own business. You know, I'm shot inside my home. And but what she was saying was a lot of people were here, and they're going to have their lives ruined. And
do you know about how many feet that gun pushed through?
That
ground it was, because he said that these houses are 25 feet under, at least 25 exactly.
25 foot deep. You know, some people going, you need to dig, you know, and here I'm a disabled, defenseless crime victim. There's a dozen secret police involved, and you're telling me to dig? No, law enforcement has to take care of multi-million-dollar facilities put in by the Bushes, and I need to dig after I'm disabled and shot and left for dead in my house, and I've got pictures of a secret police gang, you know, it took 6 years to get identified? No, that's silly. No, we got to have real law enforcement. And that's why I'm counting on Sheriff Kreiner to not be dirty, you know, and I'm counting on the Texas Rangers to not be dirty and trying to cover up the murder of little kids, because the evidence is overwhelming. You can't ignore this huge amount of evidence, you know. And my friend Angie McGee Hurley was the one that told me about the young girl that was murdered at an oil show party in 2010, because that girl didn't want to prostitute, and in 2013 the remains of a 14 to 21-year-old girl was found outside of Midland. There's a Crime Stoppers on this murder, and I believe if a real investigation is done, then our killers will be arrested. I've been contacting Sheriff Kreiner, the Texas Rangers, and Texas Senator Cornyn, and that was some recent emails on the Crime Stoppers tip for this Crime Stoppers, Midland Crime Stoppers here. And here it's an unsolved case, right? Unidentified human remains were discovered in an oil field location outside of Midland. Remains were a female, 14 to 21 years old, and homicide is suspected. Amazing. It seems like nobody cares about this. They don't want to talk about the little murdered 14-year-old. You know, nobody cares, you know. And, you know, all they want to do is trash me, you know, and I'm going, here it is. There's just going to be a whole bunch of people that were at that party. It should be easy to find out who murdered that little girl, right? With absolute proof showing that somebody under my home shot me, then we can be sure those underground homes are here, and it's where they were having the oil show parties. And so this is the proof. You know, it's one thing, I can say this, you can say that, you know, and I have to deal with it all the time, because we had dirty cops that were lying. One thing I was asked today, why don't you explain the tripwire? Well, you know, there was this smear video made, and they bring up this tripwire lie that was told by this dirty cop named Detective Rosie Rodriguez. She said there was a tripwire attached to my gun. Okay, well, 11 police officers there. She's the only one that mentions a tripwire. And the guy that picked up my gun was the crime scene investigator. That's his job, the CSI, Marty Barrett. He didn't even mention a tripwire. There's no tripwire checked into evidence, and triple proof shows I wasn't shot with my gun. It's a bold-faced, you know, lie told on police reports to cover up a home invasion murder attempt. You know, that's what's going on. Then it spread to millions on the internet, but what are they really covering up? They're covering up the murder of this little girl, right? And then also, I believe they murdered the guy who lived here before me. He dies a week before the 2008 oil show started. All right, so I'm going, this is just quickly on the proof here. The size of pellets removed from my foot were 2.5 sizes different than what my gun. You know, that's like saying the guy that's holding the 22 didn't shoot the guy who has a hole in him from a 45. You know, it's ballistic evidence. Okay, done deal. We know how that works. And there's plenty of other proof. And we know I was shot. The entrance and exit wounds are about 2 inches off ground. That tells you where the gun was. So the shot didn't come through the floor. I hear that on YouTube all the time. Oh, the shot come through the floor. Why can't you find where the shot come through the floor? The shot didn't come through the floor, and the gun was level. Okay, the shooter was below my home. The gun was above my home. The shot didn't come through the floor, you know. And I've explained that over and over and over again. And then here, you know, I believe I shot with a 45. One, Lisa Rogers was documented telling me I shot with a 45. And there wasn't enough physical space to be shot with a 4-foot-long shotgun. We know I wasn't shot with my shotgun. we've already proved that, right? And it's believed I shot with a special plastic tip, pellet-filled bullet to make it appear that I shot my shotgun. And when they ruled this murder an accident, it was going to add $500,000 to the life insurance policy. Okay, and so here's a plastic tip pellet-filled bullet. The surgeon stated that he removed a lot of plastic from the wound. It wouldn't have been found if I'd shot myself with my gun. And then there's another piece of evidence not on here, is that the CSI that picked up my gun and checked in the live shells from the gun, he didn't check in any empty shell. See, if I had been shot with my gun, then an empty shell would have been inside the gun that he picked up, right? It wasn't there. I made a big point of that, you know, and it was just proof upon proof upon proof upon proof that this is a capital attempted murder, right? I mean, that's all there is to it. And then it's real easy to see they murdered that girl in 2010, murdered the last homeowner, you know, multiple murders, you know. Actually, one guy, I got a document, he asked me if I knew the names of the 4 people been murdered, died in my house, you know. I believe this little girl's one of them. You can see where one of those underground homes is on Google Maps right now. Just look at my address at 3802 Fair Circle and look in my backyard. There's a large bunker which is seen on the map screen but not on the satellite screen or from above ground, okay? And so, you know, it's maps.google.com on your phone, and it's going to take you right there. On the right across the alley is the Home Depot store, and there's my home where I was ambushed and shot. This is where the previous homeowner died, you know, according to the neighbor. And then here in my backyard's a large bunker, okay? But you switch to the satellite screen and then it ain't there. It's just ground, okay? I believe that's one of the 4 underground homes I was told about, okay? You can look at that right now online. And then a woman was recorded telling me there were 3 4-bedroom underground homes. We listened to that. Rhonda Denman Rogers told me that one underground home is a half block away. Once again, I have a print screen of that. And then Layla O'Brien says she worked on this safe house project and it cost $7.35 million, finished 87, and also have a print screen of that. Okay, and here I've got them in here. Here's the one from Rhonda Denman Rogers. My house sitting on some underground facility. I know it's a half block away. I think it might be in this field around the corner. And this is Whittle Way here because there's a water well here. There's an empty field. And that home had the same mortar problem that my home had. And that the mortar problem is believed to be from digging under the home. It made it resettle the foundation and broke the mortar joint. So that's why I think maybe this is one of the other homes, because I was told there were 4 of them. Okay. This woman was a CAD programmer, okay? Computer assisted drafting, right? She said, I worked on that project. You know, she lives in Houston. And, we had a budget of $7.35 million. They called it the Safe Houses. And she also told me that it was finished in 1987. That actually fit other evidence that I've found, okay? And here we go. A Home Depot clerk told me one time, if you happen to see a lot of cars in the parking lot late at night, then it's because we're stalking. I hadn't seen that or I thought about it, so I took this as a clue. An oil show party would have a lot of people and they would need a lot of parking along with some excuse. It's easy to see that is what was going on here. You can see where the ground was cut for a tunnel aimed directly at my home. So this is the Google Maps view, and you can go look at it, you know, right now. This is actually Google Earth because this map is from June 2011, about 6 months before the murder attempt. 6 months before I got ambushed and shot. And what I'm showing is the parking lot in front of Home Depot. There's plenty of parking, okay? And that's where the clerk in there told me that one day. You happen to see a lot of cars late at night. It's because we're it's because we're stalking. And behind the Home Depot store aimed directly at my house, you can see with the asphalt's different color, they cut a ditch aimed directly at my house. And then in my backyard, we just looked at that. It looks like that's one of the 4 underground homes. This is where the other lot was right here. You know, that's where I was going. Maybe that other one's right here. That'd be 2, and that is still 2 more somewhere, you know. And so, and then here, I'm shot right here, ambushed and shot by somebody under my home right there. Okay. And then here, this is really just amazing right here. You know, I mean, it's like I can't find a good cop. It's just so frustrating, you know, and here I contacted Homeland Security, you know, and it's on July 2nd, 2019. I showed Homeland Security Agent Paul where I believe the tunnel was located that was used for the oil show parties and by the killers of that young girl. 2 weeks later, the ground was dug up and concrete was poured. I thought they were supposed to stop human trafficking, you know, and it looks like they're trying to help the human trafficking. They're murdering girls. I live right on the other side of this wall right here, okay? That's there's an alley and then my backyard. And I was back here on this side over here is Home Depot, and that's a secluded truck unloading lane right there. And I was back there with Homeland Security, and that was on July 2nd, 2019. And then 2 weeks later, here they got the ground dug up and they're pouring concrete. You know, I mean, it's just amazing what's going on here. But all we can, you know, is just keep trying. And as I said earlier, you know, hopefully that the reason that Governor Abbott come to town was to get to the bottom of this, and we're going to expose them tunnels, and we're going to arrest these criminals that are involved in murdering that little girl, and you know, I mean, can you imagine that wasn't the reason? It's Buddy Webb, Midland, Texas.